My name is Nemanja and today we are talking about optional classes in Java. All of us have run into an issue with null pointer exceptions in Java. Java doesn't have support for null safe types, but as a replacement there are optional classes. So let's deep dive into it and see how we can use optional classes in Java. Optional is a container class introduced in Java 8 to represent optional or better to say nullable values. If we go into that class, we will see it looks like this. So it's a generic class where we can pass our own class on which we want to apply optional. So let's deep dive into code and see how we can use it. If we go without optional classes, it would look something like this. We need manually to check if the value is null and also to call else method when the value is not null. So if this changes and goes something like this, if we run the application, it will say you haven't entered the value, or better to say value is null. But let's see how we can implement that with optional generic classes. There are several ways of instantiating optional classes. The first one is calling .empty method, which will instantiate empty optional class. And when we call method isEmpty to check whether that class is empty or not, or better to say if the value is present or not, it will return us true, so that it's empty. Other way of creating optional classes is to call off, and then we can pass my string to it, and apparently it's no longer empty, it has value, and this will return false as here. But what happens in our case, the value sometimes can be null, sometimes it can have its value. So if we pass null here and rerun, we will get a null pointer exception because method of is annotated with @NotNull annotation, which means it does not accept nullable values. To repair that, there is another method which is called ofNullable, which gives us the possibility to pass null values to the optional for creation, and then just when we say is empty, it will return true. If we need to retrieve, which most likely we would, to retrieve the actual value of that optional class, we would need to do something like this. Is empty, it's empty, and otherwise if it is not empty, then we need to retrieve the actual value, and we do that by calling method get. When we run this, it will return my string. It will return my string. Here we have used ternary operator to check if the value is present and then to print out some message. But there is some sleeker solution using optional classes where we can say my string ifPresentOrElse. So if the value is present, then we execute some code. We will just print out the standard output, and if the value is not present, then in that case we will print out to the standard output that the value is not present. Okay, and let's start that method because it's empty here. It will call the second method. Okay, but if we pass some value of, let's say, my string, and then rerun the application, it will call the first method, the first lambda expression, where it will print out the value of that specific. So it's much nicer in terms of code, cleanless than the second approach with the ternary operator. Optional classes give us the possibility to change several methods to perform filtering or mapping on that specific object. So let's see how we can do that. Let's create a new class called student. That student would have its name, it would have average grade, and it would also have year, which year it is. We would need constructor for it. Okay, we would also need all the getters and setters for it. Okay, so let's comment out this section, and then we will call optional of student. Let's say my student equals optional of nullable. Then we can create new student with name. Let's say average grade 6.9 and the year is third year. Okay, and what we can say my student dot map map to get some specific field. In our case, we'll get the average grade. We'll filter the grade which is greater or equal 6.0. We will also filter grade where the grade is lower equal to 7.0, and we will also call isPresent to see if there are any students that are present. That we can introduce local variable isPresent, and then we can print it to the standard output isPresent. If we start this, you will see that it would return true because our student with the average grade 6.9 fulfills these two filters. But if we increase that his average grade is 7.5, we will be returned with false because it doesn't fulfill these two filters. And as you can see, very nice feature of optional classes where you can train several classes like map, filter, and so on. If you like this video and would like to see more videos like this, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.